In this video, we'll be taking a look at all today's NCAA matchups, and I'll break them all down with free winning picks so you can bet smarter and win bigger. But first, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get our picks the second they drop, because when the lines move, the early birds cash in. And if you want the full Winning Sport Picks experience, head over to wspicks.com and check out our VIP packages, or grab a free consultation with one of our professional sports consultants for the sharpest edge you'll find anywhere. That's where the real plays live. We are your bookmaker's worst nightmare. These are the games we're hammering, the ones the books can't afford you to bet. This is Winning Sport Picks. The free picks are about to drop, and they're coming in hot. We start with Maryland taking on Alabama, and the Tide enter this one laying 13, while Maryland sits at plus 14. This is the exact kind of matchup where the market tends to overreact to brand name and pace, pushing Alabama into overvalued territory, but Maryland doesn't always translate well as a dog on the road, especially in high possession environments. Alabama's style forces opponents into uncomfortable tempo decisions, and Maryland historically struggles when asked to keep up with teams that consistently hunt quick shots. Even with that said, Alabama can be volatile, and laying a number this big requires them to dominate both halves without the scoring droughts they're known for. The safer angle lands on the total because Maryland's slower tendencies combined with Alabama's streaky efficiency usually creates long lulls that keep games from exploding into constant scoring. That's why the play here leans toward the under 166.5, and if you want to side, Alabama minus 13 is the tighter look. Next up, TCU meets Florida with the Gators laying 13.5 and TCU catching that same number. Florida is one of those teams the books grade aggressively because of their athletic profile and blowout potential, but they rarely string together wire-to-wire dominance against mid-tempo opponents. TCU, meanwhile, tends to hang inside big spreads by controlling possessions and forcing opponents into longer defensive sequences. Florida's weakness is pacing. They push when they shouldn't and stall when they shouldn't, and that leads to choppy momentum. That creates value on TCU plus the 13.5 because this number assumes Florida maintains control the entire way, which they often fail to do. The total at 152.5 feels inflated as well because TCU's style pulls games downward, so the better look becomes under 155.5 with an edge toward TCU plus the points. North Carolina battles Michigan State, and the books have this one tight with UNC catching 2.5, while Michigan State sits at -1. These two teams play contrasting styles that often neutralize each other. UNC pushes, Michigan State grinds, and whenever that happens, the underdog with tempo flexibility tends to outperform the line. Michigan State can't afford scoring droughts here because UNC punishes slow scoring stretches with fast transition buckets, and historically Michigan State struggles when forced out of set-piece rhythm. UNC's ability to dictate pace in spurts is the separator, so grabbing UNC plus the 2.5 becomes the smarter approach. With the total at 151.5, the number sits right on the equilibrium of these two styles colliding, but UNC's pace bumps it upward just enough that the over 151.5 holds value. BYU squares off with Miami, and BYU comes in laying 9.5 while Miami takes that same number as a home dog. BYU's system is built on spacing and shot volume, and teams like Miami struggle against the constant offensive pressure because they lack the interior discipline to disrupt rhythm. Miami as a dog looks tempting on paper, but their inconsistency in half-court sets makes them unreliable inside spreads this large. BYU, when they get rolling, stacks scoring runs in waves, and Miami rarely responds with sustained efficiency. This matchup leans toward BYU minus 9.5 because their offensive identity creates separation naturally. The total at 163.5 is high for a reason. BYU plays fast, Miami gives up pace, and both teams shoot early in possessions, so the better angle is taking the over 163.5. Finally, Arkansas meets Duke, with the Razorbacks catching 10.5 and Duke laying 9.5 depending on the shop. Duke at home in these spots has historically been priced aggressively, but Arkansas tends to fight inside big spreads because of their defensive tenacity and ability to muddy games. Duke's offense can stagnate when they're forced away from the perimeter, and Arkansas knows how to take teams out of rhythm by dictating physicality. This number feels heavy, and Duke hasn't consistently covered double-digit margins unless everything goes right. That's why Arkansas plus 10.5 is the sharper side. With the total at 156, both teams have enough athleticism to generate scoring in transition, and this matchup usually trends upward in pace, making the over 156 a live play. Now listen to me, those are the free picks, but the one game I am unloading on tonight, the game that's going to crush your bookie's soul, that's the VIP play of the day at WSPicks.com. This is the nuke, the hammer, the max bet, the one play I've circled, the game that will bury your bookmaker 6 feet under. When it hits, and it will, your bookie is going to need a doctor, a lawyer, and maybe even a priest. If you want to ride with me on the biggest bet of the day, get to WSPicks.com right now. And now for the recap, we're rolling with Alabama minus 13 and under 166.5, TCU plus 13.5 and under 155.5, UNC plus 2.5 and over 151.5, BYU minus 9.5 and over 163.5, and Arkansas plus 10.5 with the over 156. This is Winning Sport Picks, where we don't just bet, we bury bookmakers. Smash that subscribe button, drop your favorite plays in the comments, and hammer that like button like you're hammering your bookie into the dirt. We're cashing, we're dominating, and tonight we're dancing on the grave of your bookmaker. Let's go!